Namaste students, welcome back to the second part of the last lesson. Of course, in the previous video we have started with the last lesson. I'll just summarize how much we have finished. We had learned that Franz, he started late to school that day. He was scared that his sir is going to punish him for being late, at the same time for not learning about participles. While he was moving towards the school, he saw crowd in front of the bulletin board. He did not stop to read what is over there, but he was told by a watcher that you will reach on time to school, so don't hurry. When he goes to school, he had planned that without being noticed, he is going to go to his place and sit quietly, but he is not able to do that. He was not able to do that. Why? Because the entire atmosphere, the entire scenario was quiet and calm. He also saw that at the last benches, the empty benches, on that day, normally the benches are empty, but on that day, at the end, all those empty benches were filled by the old villages of the old village people. And after going to his place, of course, he was welcomed by his sir, saying that you are late and we are about to start the studies without you, and he was asked to go to his place. When he settled at his place, he realized that his teacher is wearing a rare dress, or you can say the attire was rare, which he used to normally wear only on inspection days or prize award days. Till then, and then we had also learned that the teacher announces that the next day onwards he will not be there. New master is going to come to the school, and that master is going to teach German. And then we had learned about the psychological changes, the emotional changes which took place in Franz's heart towards his own language, that is French, and towards his teacher. Till then we had finished that. Today we are going to again continue page number 5. We have finished till first paragraph. I am going to start the second paragraph now. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite. What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the participle all through, very loud and clear, and without one mistake? This is in a question form actually, because his intention, okay, when he gets to know that yes, next day onwards I am not going to learn French, that day when he has got the chance to express, or you can say tell about participles, he wants to do it without any mistake. He tries his best. He stood up, he is about to say, but he fumbles with the word because he has not prepared. But I got mixed up on the first words and stood there holding on to my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up. This, we have all gone through this particular experience. Even I have gone through as a child. When particular thing was asked by teacher to do, and if you are not prepared, if you are asked in the entire class to stand up and answer, you know what happens. Your heartbeat starts, your legs are shivering, and of course you cannot stand straight, so you are holding your desk over there, you are ashamed, you are blushing, you are feeling scared. Now I will be insulted by my teacher in front of my class, my own classmates. But here, along with all these feelings, he is regretting that I have not learned my own language, that is French. Okay? I heard M. Hamel say to me, I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. Even here, emotional changes are not happening or has taken place in the heart of the teacher also. Teacher is not scolding, he is telling that I am not going to scold you. You have understood what you are going to miss in future, or what you have missed. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, well, I have plenty of time. This is a normal tendency, human tendency, as I told you in the starting of this particular lesson, the last lesson I have told you. It's a human tendency of putting the things for tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow I have plenty of time, I will be doing it tomorrow. Today, let me take rest. So he is telling that I am not blaming you, I am not scolding you. It's good that you are going to realize, you are realizing it that we all, not only you, we all have done what? We have postponed the things for tomorrow. Every day we have said to ourselves, bah, I have plenty of time, I will learn it tomorrow. And now you see where we have come out. Ah, that's a great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. Not only Alsace, even the Indians also, even the Americans also, even people all over the world. We try to do the thing like we say that okay fine, today I have ample of time, tomorrow also I have ample of time. Instead of doing it today, I'll do it tomorrow. It may be learning, it may be about the work, it may be about no, whatever it is. We put it for tomorrow. And same thing is blaming the people over in that particular district, in that particular village, that even you people, even I also, like teacher, I or you or your parents have tried to put the thing learning for tomorrow. Okay? Now, those fellow out there will have the right to say to you how it is. You pretend to be Frenchmen, and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language. Oh, you pretend to be Indians, but you cannot even write or speak one of Indian languages. So it's what it happens with us. When we learn a foreign language, when we are well versed in English, when we are very fluent in English, and if we don't know our own language, if we don't know our own mother tongue, people they speak. Oh, you say you are Indians, but you don't know your own language. You cannot write. You don't know about the literature. You don't know about the grammar of your own language. That is what he's saying. So now the Germans, those are going to come here, or those are coming to rule Alsace and Lorraine, they will be saying, oh, you pretend to be Frenchman? Ah, what? You know French? You cannot know, you don't know French, you can't write, you can't even read French. So that is what he is telling. Indirectly, he is expressing his own emotions. He is not scolding, but yes, whatever his heart says, whatever he feels, he is expressing in the class. His regret, even his regret of not teaching the students proper French, or you can say not taking it seriously in teaching them French, or the history of their land, history of the saints. It can be anything. But you are not the worst, poor little Franz. We have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. Not only you, even the teacher, even his parents, even the villagers, all of them, they are to be reproached, criticized, blamed themselves for not learning their own language. Okay? Next paragraph. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. Same thing happened with Indians also. Now, of course, your parents are, they want you to get educated, they want you to go to school, they want you to go to further studies and all these things, but their parents never insisted them. Or their, you can say, grandparents never insisted their parents to learn. Same thing was happening in India also. Parents were not willing to send their children to school, thinking that if my child goes to school, it is waste of time, waste of energy, waste of money. Of course, they were not asking for money, but still they had to pay some annas or some rupees to get the books. Uniform was not compulsory for them, but books. So they thought, why to spend money on such a thing which is useless? Why not my child go or come with me to the farm, or come with me for the fishing process? Let him learn that thing. Let him learn the traditional profession. Why simply go to school? Same thing. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills so as to have a little more money. Even your parents, or you can say your grandparents, were not very much like were not anxious to go to school. At the same time, their parents have not forced them to go to school. Instead, they said, okay, you come along with us, you'll be earning bread, or you'll be earning livelihood, you'll be earning money. Come along with us. Okay? And I have been to blame also. Now here he takes the blame on himself. Yes, even I have to be blamed. For what actually? Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? And when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? You can ask your grandparents, all these things used to happen in the schools. The school was just a small place where children of different classes, of course, they never went beyond 5th standard or 6th standard. So at the most, Anganwadi or you can say nursery was not there. Directly the school was, no, the child went to 1st standard. In the same room, 1st standard class, 2nd standard class, 3rd, 4th, no, hardly 10 to 15 children of different classes were sitting in the class. And it's at the will of the teacher, wish of the teacher, what to be taught, no particular syllabus, or you can say exams also were not taken seriously. So as he said, Have I not asked you to water my plant? So when the class is going on, okay, Franz, okay, go and water my plant. See that pot is that plant is dying. So dying. In between, the child is asked to go out. Indian scenario is what the lady teachers used to carry their kids to school, and that particular child was taken care by students in the class. The elderly students were taking care of the child, and teacher used to teach small younger kids or small students, younger students. So that was a scenario in India. Same thing was there in France also. He said when he wished, when he was so willing to go for fishing, have he not given holiday to the school? Yes, it is the teacher. It's a one-man show. Teacher is the principal. Teacher is the ayah over there. Teacher is the teacher over there. So that day, when okay, teacher feels I should go for fishing. I'm bored of teaching. Teacher announces that today is a holiday. You go, and then he goes. Teacher goes out and enjoys fishing. So that is what he is blaming himself now. That even I never took it seriously of teaching you this language, that is French. Then, from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest, the most logical, that we must guard it among us and never forget it. Because when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. This also is a very good example. Even we Indians have gone through it. What is he insisting is that we all Indians are proud of our mother tongue. Each and every one, whatever adjective he has used here for his language, it is the beautiful language in the world, it is clearest, it is most logical. Even if you ask your mother tongue, you say, hey, my language is the most beautiful language in the world, my language is the clearest one in the world, and my language is the most logical. Each and everyone is proud of their mother tongue, is proud of their nation also. So he said he starts speaking from regretting or by putting the blame on himself, on parents and France. He then moves on to the topic of speaking about the language, French. How is French? And then he says it's the most important line you can say that we must guard it among us. This language, which is your mother tongue, you must guard that language among you and never forget it. Because when a people are enslaved, even Indians were enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, as long as you know your own language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. If you remember the past, somewhere Bengal Gadget, it's a newspaper in English, started by one of the foreign person, but he started writing about the struggle, about the suffering of the Indians. And later on, Samachar Darshan is the first Indian, it's a vernacular language newspaper started in India. Now, if you see, there are more than 100, 200 papers, vernacular language papers. You have Gujarati, you have Kashmiri, you have Kannada, you have Malayalam, you have Sanskrit, you have Hindi, you have Marathi. Many newspapers later on, by getting the idea of expressing their views, you can just imagine during the freedom struggle how they may have passed their views, their thoughts, or their ideas, or their plans. It's only through their mother tongue. Let's imagine in a community. Let's say Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh had plenty of Bhagat Singh story, you know it well. So how, in what way has he learned to prepare bombs and all these things? And of course, he was not a terrorist. He was a freedom fighter. The way of fighting was different than other leaders of those times. So how might have they like communicated with each other? It's only the thing is mother tongue. Why? Because when you speak, it happens with you also. When your community people come together, you start speaking in your own mother tongue, and the person in your group who doesn't know your language, he feels as if he is a third person. Of course, this is bad. But in those days, when what is freedom struggle was going on, this groupism was really very helpful. Knowing our own language. Of course, the newspapers help people to expose the exploitation, suffering of the Britishers, of the Indians among their community. Newspaper was the only one source, or small, small pamphlets in their vernacular languages helped them a lot. And so he's saying that knowing your language, preserving your language, being attached to a language is nothing else but the people those are enslaved, for them it's like a key to the prison. And of course, for Indians, it has served as a key. So even Indians, we have the past history when Indians utilize their language, use their language to get freedom. They brought the people together. Same thing, he is insisting on that. You have to be attached to your language. You have to be, what he says is, so you should guard it among yourself so that one day this language is going to help you to get rid of the, what you can say, the conquerors or the persons who are ruling you. And we are the best example of it. Of course, India, though India is a country of, we have many languages over here. All the communities, they came together because of this language only, their mother tongue. They could express, they could spread their news, they could spread their ideas, and they could fight against the foreigners, or you can say the conquerors. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. If you remember your primary classes, one teacher is, it's like one-man show. One teacher teaches you EVS, or you can say environmental studies. Same teacher teaches you languages. Same teacher teaches you maths. Same teacher teaches you art and craft also. So this particular teacher, M. Hamel, now after speaking about their mother tongue, he started teaching them grammar. Okay? Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. Why he was able to understand the lesson very clearly on that day? Why? Because all he said seemed so easy, I think too, that I had never listened so carefully. Because he was listening it very carefully on that day, he could understand whatever was taught by the teacher. Or maybe teacher also was very much eager to give whatever he knew to all these kids on that day. That is what he says next. That he had never explained everything with so much patience. That day teacher was really very much eager to impart, or you can say give whatever knowledge he has about that particular language or grammar lesson. It seemed almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away, and to put it all into our heads at one stroke. This you may not experience now, but when the time comes to leave that particular place, even you will understand. Whatever you have, your emotions you want to express, you want to give. The same thing happened with Enham also, and just the opposite was the emotion of the child. Child wanted to grasp everything. Child wanted to take everything. Okay, today is the last day when I can learn my language. I can know about my language. So even child was listening. His ears were attentive. He was listening carefully, and even teacher was pouring out the knowledge, giving out the knowledge. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. As I told you, in lower classes, teachers, they brought, you might have seen your teacher carrying your copy book, the 4-line book, to the staff room and writing the copywriting. So seeing a teacher's writing, you used to write it down, right? So same way, after the grammar class, after the French grammar class, we had a lesson in writing. That day, M. Hamel had new copies for us. Written in a beautiful round hand, France Alsace, France Alsace. They looked like little flags floating everywhere in the school room, hung from the rod at the top of our desk. You ought to have seen how everyone set to work and how quiet it was. Of course, all the kids in the class, as soon as they got the copy, they saw the words, okay, Alsace is their district, their own village you can say, and France, yeah, their own country. So they were also very much eager to write, to test those writing, what teacher gave. And as if he said, the books, it looked like flags hanging on the rods on everyone's desk. Okay? You ought to have, okay, the only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them, not even the littlest ones who worked right on pressing their fish hooks. Now, fish hooks is nothing else you have seen. It is an international phonetic alphabet. This is fish hook. So the younger ones, as I told you, in one class only, different standard students are studying over there. So the little ones, they were carving, they were pressing fish hooks. If you remember, you as a child in senior KG or not senior KG, in junior KG or nursery, first you start with your strokes, right? Slanting strokes, slipping strokes. So those kids were busy with those strokes, and the elder ones were busy with their France Alsace. And few beetles, insects. No, you might have enjoyed, I don't know, but we have really enjoyed. Or normally it's a human tendency, or kids, or psychology. Teacher is teaching in the class and you see a lizard or a cockroach in the class. What is your reaction? Your attention won't be at the teacher. In between, you will be looking at the cockroach. Oh, it's going to come near me. It's coming near me. You are distracted. So even the beetles in the class, when it entered, small ones also and the elder ones also were not at all distracted because they were engrossed in writing. Younger ones were engrossed in writing fish hooks, and the elder ones were engrossed in writing Franz Celsus, Franz Celsus, as if it was French too. Of course, it's not French, it is International Phonetic Alphabet, but as if it was French, even they were engrossed in writing fish hooks. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low, and I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? So here, emotions. Okay, you're forcing us to learn German. The pigeons up there on the roof, are you going, because he heard their voice, are you going to force them to learn or coo in German? No, you can understand the emotion of a child. He's regretting, he's feeling sad that next year onwards he's not going to learn French. Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing first at one thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom. In those days, cameras were not there. Of course, now when it's time for send off or farewell, or as we have Jyoti Pradhana, you all get the mobiles, you take selfies. But in those days, mobiles were not there. Photography also was very, very rare. So what is he doing? He is preserving. As if he is taking the screenshot, he is taking the shot and is preserving it into his CPU or in his mind, you can say. Who? M. Hammond. He is sitting on the chair, motionless. He is looking at one thing, staring at one thing, then looking at another, as if he is storing all those pics, or you can say storing all those memories in his mind, because tomorrow or today is going to leave the place. Fancy. For 40 years he had been there in the same place with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him. Oh, it's really very, very painful. 40 years he has served that particular school for 40 years, as if that school was his own house. He has planted a small garden in front of it. Inside classrooms were taking place. So you just imagine how attached he is to each and every part, even the benches also. Maybe he's attached to the benches, he's attached to small, minute things in and around the school, because he has spent over there 40 years. Okay? Just like that. Only the desks and benches had been worn smooth. The walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hope vine that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. So even the plants in the garden, it is not the school's plant, it is through his own, with his own hands he has planted those plants over there. So he is very much attached to almost everything. How it must have broken his heart to live it all, poor man. To hear his sister moving about in the room above, packing their trunks, for they must leave the country next year. Of course, above roof, maybe he's staying over there. His sister is actually busy in packing the trunks. In olden days, nowadays we have those light luggage bags. In olden days, iron trunks or wooden trunks were used. So dragging of the sound of that particular trunks is heard. So what is that? Sister is busy packing the things and he is busy taking the class because it is the last class. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. After the writing, he had a lesson in history. After the first was about French grammar, then was about writing. Now third class was about history. Okay, so after, like, he had that much patience that he showed each and every. He had the patience of listening to each and every child, how they are reading, no, to correct those mistakes, whatever they are making. So next we had the lesson in history, and then the babies chanted their ba, baby, boo, boo. Of course, we had a class in history, but the younger ones, they had the class in what actually? Vowels and consonants. You have your k, ka, ki, ki. In the same way, French people, these younger ones, small ones, they were reciting their ba, baby, boo. In that way, they were reciting. So he had that much of patience to even listen to the history class also, explain them at the same time to listen to the younger ones how they are pronouncing the letters or how they are saying the consonants and vowels. Down there, or you can say phonetics, down there at the back of the room, old Harsha had put on his spectacles and holding his primer in both hands, spelled the letters with them. Of course, that particular Harsha who had brought the primer, he can't read history, he can't read, he cannot take part in grammar class, but yes, he can take part in the phonetics. So as along with those kids, even he is also saying ba, be, bu, and imagine he is not just saying to learn, but he is regretting. And when you regret for something, what is happening? He is reciting those consonants, he is reciting those vowels, he is reciting those phonetics in a very, in a crying tone. He is crying and he is saying. So by listening that, you could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion. And it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh also and cry. Why to laugh? Because seeing the way he is reading those words, letters, and why cry? Because even we are in the same situation. From tomorrow onwards, we are not going to learn French, we are going to learn German. Ah, how well I remember it. The last lesson. It's very touching, right? All at once, the church clock struck 12. It was time that, yes, it's time to end the class. Then the Angelus, at the same moment, the trumpets of the Persians, returning from drill, sounded under our windows. M. Hamel stood up, very pale, in his chair. I never saw him look so tall. Look so tall means confident. Yes, now the class, as of course in those days, timings, there were church bells. So church bell at 12 o'clock indicates it's time for prayer now. So when this church bell was heard, Sir stood up. And it was time to say to the class that this is the end of the class. So he stood up and he says that I never saw him so tall. I never saw my sir standing so confident. So it is the day that he is okay, fine. Even this I accept with full pride. That is what he is feeling on that day. My friends, said he, I, I. But something choked him. He could not go on because he was full of emotions. He wanted to speak something, but as if something choked over here. His own saliva, maybe his own words got stuck over here. Okay? Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his might, he wrote as large as he could. Of course, I wrote in very small letter, but he wrote the entire board. He wrote at Viva la France. Viva la France means what? Live long France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word, he made a gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed. You may go. The last part is very, very touching. He is not even having that much of, no, you can say emotion, or you can say he's so overwhelmed to even say bye to his kids, because now from then onwards he's not going to teach any school, he's not going to teach any of the schools French or history of French. So with this, we end up with this lesson, that is last lesson. Next on, we will move to the poetry section or the prose section. Till then, goodbye, have a good day.